So I'm recording this after finishing day 2 of week 6. And week 6 is also pretty tough. But I think week 5 as a whole week, entire week, has been the toughest week of the program so far. I say that because weights have been around the same as week 3. But for week 3, I think the fatigue hasn't been set in as much, right? Because there's no deload until week 7, so the fatigue buildup is there in week 5 and 6 compared to weeks 1, 2, and 3, obviously, right? And the weights are getting heavier, and the biggest factor is, I think, the number of reps for each set is getting more, right? Because on week 3 you're doing 4 sets of 3, right? But for week 5, you're doing 4 sets of 4 and then an M-rep. Even though it's 1 extra rep per set, the weight is almost at the same as week 3 weight, right? So doing that 1 more rep per set makes the M-rep so much harder, the 5th set. So because of that, I missed rep targets by 1 rep on days 3 and 4. So that is a bit disappointing. And as of day 2, week 6, I also missed a lift by 2 reps. Missed the rep target by 2 reps. I think it's harder for me to miss the rep target on upper body lifts. I think lower body is like the fatigue and my form breakdown. So we'll talk more about that in week 6, like the missing the rep targets for week 6. So I'll focus on week 5 right now. So I was also sick from my trip during week 4. I was in Los Angeles for the first time, and I got sick at the end of the trip. So this workout, this day 1, week 5, I just got better. I was like 90% good, and I was like just ready to go to the gym. I took a 3-day break, and honestly, that actually helped me a little bit overall. So I was able to grind out these reps. And it's really crazy how when you do the first set, you're really thinking to yourself, like, how am I going to do 3 more sets of this and then an M-rep? But the weights does get easier in a sense that your body becomes more used to it. It might still get harder, right? Like, your body is accruing more fatigue, but your body is also getting more used to the motor pattern. So by the last set, the first rep might actually move faster than the first rep of the first set, right? It all depends. But because I was sick, as you can see, I got 7 on 325. Maybe I could have gotten 8, but my form was breaking down, right? Good morning squat, and I think that's more of a core issue because at a certain point, I just can't physically brace as hard anymore, and I think that's a core issue. Maybe also quads, but I think core is something I need to work on. And then for incline bench is 170 pounds. On week 3, I believe, 175, I got 12. And then for today, for this day, day 1, I got 170 for 11. So if I wasn't sick, I would have probably gotten 12. And also, my upper body responds worse to having more days off than my lower body. Like 3 days off on lower body is fine, but upper body, it might take a small hit. And also you saw the over warm-up single of 210 pounds go a bit slower than usual, but also weigh about a pound less. Like I gained like 2 or 3 pounds during my LA trip, but then I lost all of it. So that's why on the first set of pull-ups I was able to get 6, and what you're seeing is the second set. So day 2 I'll talk about, but first of all, after week 5, after this week, I've decided to make some changes to my accessories after doing them for about 5 weeks. So I think what I'm changing will benefit my growth. But I'll talk about that more in detail in the week 6 video. Now, in terms of day 2, like I said, because my body doesn't respond well to resting more days, like a lot of days, 3 days, for upper body than lower body, things felt heavier than usual on day 2 of bench. However, I did take 1 day off after my day 1, but still things were a little harder than usual. Also because I weigh a little bit less, right? And that has a bigger effect on my upper body than my lower body. So my upper body recovers faster, but also detrains faster, which is something I know is the truth. Like, I've measured that and observed that over years of training. But I was able to hit my rep target, so I was happy about that. And that was a grind on the last rep. So definitely I squeezed out the last rep. And then high bar squats was not fun, honestly. But because I took that 1 rest day after low bar squats, I think that definitely helped. And that's also one thing I've noticed in week 6 that I'll talk about. But having this whole program on a 7-day schedule might not always work, so I might add some rest days in between like days 1 and 2, etc. I'll talk more about that in my next week video. But high bar squats went okay. The rep target was 11 and I got 12, which I'm happy about. But what's interesting was last week on week 4, right? If y'all seen my video, the rep target was 13 and I got 17. And honestly, I'm just realizing that for squats, especially as weights get heavier, I'm just worse at grinding out reps, right? I think my body's weaknesses start to show more when the weight gets heavier and it's harder for me to grind, right? Like, my squat becomes more of a good morning squat if the weight gets to a certain point. Like 235, I think, was the weight last week. Week 4, right? So I can grind easier with better form, right? But as the weight gets heavier, the grinding becomes harder because my weak points show up more, right? And in terms of my weak points is quads and core, which are 2 body parts that I'm trying to work on. I've been having trouble with it for years, honestly, but I think I found some exercises and some cues to really work on them. So that's basically day 2. And in fact, actually, I think in between day 2 and day 3, I took a rest day, right? And I did some like planks and some ab wheel, and that made my abs really sore, and that might have affected my deadlift on day 3, which I'll talk about. But trying to do core 2 to 3 times a week at home, basically. So that's day 2. So day 3, unfortunately, I tried to go for 7 reps, the rep target. I didn't lock out on my 7th rep. So I got 6 basically. So I was very disappointed for a few hours because, I've been hitting my rep targets for all of my sets until this point, right? But I realized, I was just sick a few days ago, and weights are getting heavy, right? And I did 2 sets of 4 before this, rather than, I think I did 375 pounds on week 3. It was 2 sets of 3 reps each set for 2 sets, and then an AMRAP. And I believe I got 7 on that, right? So on this workout, this is 370, which is basically the same weight as 375, because the 5 pounds on deadlift is not a huge change. And I did 2 sets of 4, so 1 extra rep, right? And that definitely has more fatigue carryover to my AMRAP set, my 3rd set. And I got 6, right? And I almost got 7. So if I did 2 sets of 3, I would have gotten 7 for sure, right? So I don't think I'm getting weaker. It's just that I'm doing more reps before the AMRAP set, and that makes the AMRAP set harder, right? Um, but it is what it is, right? I'm happy with how my deadlifts look and feel, at least. So it was a good deadlift workout. And then after this, I did some spoto press. Also felt a little harder than usual. Like I said, upper body takes longer to bounce back versus lower body from like rapid weight loss, from sickness, from taking more than 3 days off, or just even 3 days off. And sorry, my camera zoomed in here. I have an Apple Watch, and if I even slammed the weight a little bit on the floor, the Apple Watch has a wheel, like a scroll wheel, and it touches the wheel and it zooms in the camera. So anyways, spoto press felt decent, at least. A little harder than usual, but it felt okay. Also didn't hit the rep target. It was 11, I only got 10. But like some people said on Reddit, which I asked, it's not necessarily that I'm getting weaker. It could be fatigue, right? It could be that like the fatigue carrying over for weeks from the beginning of the program, because I haven't been on a deload, right? And resting a couple more days doesn't really do much, rather than taking a whole week off with a deload, 1 week 7, right? And other reason is like, my strength could be there, right? It's just I need a more of a peaking block, like the last 7 weeks, to really show how much power I have. And also could be just a couple bad days, right? And many reasons. So I'm not too stressed about it. And after this, I did some good mornings, and honestly, I was more fatigued by the deadlift, so good mornings didn't feel that good. And I'll just say it right here, I'm gonna take out good mornings and replace them with a quad focus exercise, and I think that will help me more, because I think I'm more posterior chain dominant. So this will be the last time you see me do good mornings for a while. Because 2 plates for 3 sets of 8, it's fine with me. So that's basically day 3. Now day 4, I've been trying to eat on a surplus to get my weight back, but I still missed my rep target on both touch and go bench, and my pause squats. Pause squats was especially hard because I was really trying to focus on pausing consistently, like having a consistent tempo in terms of doing the reps, like 1 rep and then resting at the top for 2 to 3 seconds max, not resting too long between reps. And also trying to pause the same amount, right? Like 1 second. And because I'm doing it more consistently, and also fatigue, and yeah, basically, I even rested a day between day 3 and day 4, but I was only able to, I missed the rep target for bench and pause squat by 1 rep. Yeah, I'm just watching the footage that you're seeing right now. That's my girlfriend spotting me. But yeah, I'm happy with what I have, Like I said, the sets before this, right? This is like 4 sets of 4 rather than 4 sets of 3. So the extra rep per set really is closer to failure, which, adding a rep which is closer to failure really multiplies the fatigue. Right? So I'm not, super like frustrated that I'm missing the rep target by 1. I'm just gonna trust the program and finish the program and see the results, right? By the way, if you hear some noise, it's my dog barking and everything, making noise, so please ignore that in the background. Anyways, this pause squat over warm-up single felt pretty difficult. Like, not difficult, but like harder than usual. I think I was feeling my lower back more than usual. But yeah, I was, a bit nervous about doing 5 sets of pause squats. The first set was hard, but things got a little easier as I got into groove, but it's never a fun time, honestly. And I think the second, like, there's, 3 7-week blocks in the program, right? I think, honestly, the second block, weeks 8 to 14 might be a little less grueling because there's fewer reps being done. But we'll see. So yeah, enjoy me doing these pause squat reps, really trying to keep the tempo consistent, the pause duration, etc. Not much else to say here. You'll see me in a bit doing some leg press. I've been doing 3.5 plates on each side on the leg sled, and that's not that hard. And I really don't feel my legs so much, so I upped the weight to 4.5 plates, and I'm starting to feel my legs again. Actually feeling my legs more with more of narrow stance and with adding weight. So I'm thinking, and now when I do leg press, I'm gonna do at least 4.5 plates on each side, maybe 5 plates, and really aim for 10 to 12 reps rather than doing 15 reps, and really try to push the RP on leg press. Because for the past few weeks I've been doing leg press before this week. Honestly, it felt like RP 6, 5, 6, 7, but it was still difficult because I was doing 15 reps. But I think if I add more weight and keep the range of motion still, optimal, make sure I don't cut on the range of motion, but add weight and do fewer reps, I can get closer to RP 7, 8, 9, right? RP 9 ideally. And that's where I can really get more, more out of the leg press for my legs, for my quads, which is what I'm trying to get, right? This is the whole point I'm doing leg press, to get my legs stronger, my quads. Anyways, that's day 4. Quads has been really a big focus for me. So now we'll move on to day 5. Day 5 was interesting because I hit my rep target for close grip bench. I didn't surpass it. It was 11. I hit 11. And I surpassed the sumo deadlift rep target by 2, almost 3. I didn't lock out on the 14th rep, but I got 13 with the rep target being 11. So I was very happy. And yeah, the over warm-up single at 255 still felt a little harder than usual. But at this point, I weighed 2 pounds more than when I started working out on day 1. So I'm back. I bounced back from my sickness weight-wise, but bench still felt a little difficult. More difficult than before the trip or even during the trip on week 4. But 200 pounds on the close grip was easy. So I was happy to hit 11. It looked like I could have gotten 12, and I did try to get 12, but I missed it. But and I don't really like having a spotter on these AMRAP sets. If it's a single, I can get a spotter, but having an AMRAP set spotter, unless it's my girlfriend, I get nervous. Because it's not somebody that is used to spotting me. So I did this without spotter, and I almost got 12, but I got 11, which is fine, matching the rep target, so the weights don't go down. I'm trying to push the rep targets, but sometimes just not there, But sumo deadlifts went pretty well, honestly. 415 over warm-up single was fantastic. It was RP 5.56. So I think on a good day with full recovery, I think 490 is definitely there, which I haven't hit 490 on the stiff bar before. But I know 490 is there on a good day. 500 maybe, right? But the 330 for 2 sets of 6, the first set was so easy, honestly. So I was very happy to get 13 reps on the third set, on the AMRAP set. And because of this, I am considering more and more of switching to sumo as my main deadlift at the end of the program. I don't think it's a good idea for me to do that during the program, like on week 15. Like the last 7 weeks, I can switch to sumo as my main deadlift, but I'm not gonna do that. I'll keep doing conventional until the program is over, and I think the more efficient deadlift for me is sumo deadlift. I'm getting more efficient at it because before there's like a 10, maybe 15 pound difference in terms of 1 rep maxes. I can do more reps easier on sumo deadlifts than conventional, but in terms of 1 rep max, my form breaks down on sumo deadlift where my lower back rounds. But as my technique gets better and better, gets more efficient on the sumo deadlift, which is very important. I can see my sumo deadlift going up, having a 30 or 40 pound difference compared to my conventional. Anyways, by the way, my camera is zooming in because of my Apple Watch. I really need to take off my Apple Watch when I record my deadlift sets. Last thing, I upped the weight on my T-bar rows because they were a little too easy. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in week 6. Peace.